What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today. And today I'm going to be doing my NFL Week 3 game-by-game predictions. Last week I went 10-6 in Week 2. And so far to start the season, I am 21-11 in the first 32 games of the 2023 season. So hopefully I continue to do well because, 11-5 and 10-6 in the first 2 weeks. Overall record 21-11, and in my game picks, not too bad. But I think it's going to be a fun week of football, and let's get into my predictions. And so you have Thursday Night Football tonight. You have 13 games on Sunday. That's including Sunday Night Football. Then you have 2 Monday Night Football games, another doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Let's get into it. Starting off with Thursday Night Football between the Giants and the 49ers. The Giants are without Saquon Barkley. The 49ers have a great defense. Just to keep this game close, Daniel Jones is going to have to do what he did in the second half against the Cardinals last week, which is the worst team in the NFL and probably the worst defense in the NFL. And now he's going from scoring, 31 points in the second half against the worst team in the NFL, the worst defense in the NFL. Now he's going to have to, play the best defense in the NFL, or the second best. I think it's down between the 49ers and the Cowboys, but very well could be the 49ers. But I think that Daniel Jones is going to have to play some perfect football just to keep this game close. That's not to win the ball game. That's to keep the game close. So I really don't know if I see this game being close at all. I said this last week with the Eagles-Vikings game. I said that I thought it would probably not be close. I actually picked the Eagles to win by only 5. They won by 6. So they kind of did prove me wrong. But, going into my score prediction, I think the 49ers win this 137-20. I think Jones gets in a little bit of a rhythm. He's getting a new wide receiver back, Wan'Dale Robinson, who I believe was a third-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Was having a great rookie season last year before he tore his ACL. He should be back in the lineup today for the Giants. Then the Bills-Commanders. The Bills are 1-1 after beating the Raiders last week 38-10, and the Commanders beat the Broncos 35-33. Huge turnaround from the Commanders last week. They've started off the season 2-0. They beat the Cardinals 20-16, and last week they were down 21-3 to the Broncos and ultimately took a 35-24 lead. So that was a huge turnaround for the Commanders. Ultimately, they won the game 35-33 it was a crazy ending because Russ completed that Hail Mary, and then the Commanders defense stopped them on the 2-point conversion, stopped overtime from happening, and the Commanders have started off 2-0. I've seen a lot of people picking Washington to win this game. I would like to see Washington pull off a huge upset against Buffalo, and I think they have the chance to make this a close game. Sam Howell's played great this season. Brian Robinson, to start off the year, has been great in the run game. Their defense has been very solid, but it's the Bills and it's Josh Allen. They have a solid defense as well. I think the Commanders have a tough task this week, but I think there's still is a chance, and especially with this game being in Washington. But I think the Bills win this one 27-24 in a very close game. I think the Commanders get off to a hot start, though. Then the Broncos and the Dolphins. This game is in Miami, and I think that's an advantage for Miami. I think the Broncos defense does keep this a close game. Look at the Dolphins offense last week. They were not able to get their offense going last week against the Patriots defense. I think the Patriots defense and the Broncos defense are in the same tier. You could probably say maybe the Broncos have a better defense than the Patriots do. Tyreek Hill, the best wide receiver in the NFL, is going to have to go up against arguably one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and Patrick Surtain. Russell Wilson hasn't been too terrible to start off the year. I have the Dolphins winning this one 24-16. Then the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am predicting a huge upset here. The Houston Texans getting their first win of the season. Call me crazy, but the Texans have had their way against Jacksonville for a long time. The Texans haven't been swept by the Jaguars since 2017 because they are in the same division. C.J. Stroud has been great to start off the year. Last week, Stroud threw 384 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. In his first 2 games, he's thrown 91 passes with 0 interceptions. And that's facing a really good defense and a really solid a really solid defense as well, facing the Ravens defense in week 1. And he threw, I believe, it was like 260-something passing yards, I believe, and 0 interceptions thrown. They only scored 9 points on offense, but he showed some good things against a really good Ravens defense. And then last week against a solid Colts defense that have 2 really good players in DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard, C.J. Stroud had a really good game. So now I believe that the Jags have a solid defense, but I think the Colts and Ravens defenses are better than the Jags. Texans have had their way against the Jags. Teams in the first 2 games have had their way in the running game against the Jaguars, and I think the Texans' running game gets going. Dameon Pierce has had success against the Jaguars in his career to start off this, to start in the week 1. I think it was week 4 or week 5 they played the Jags, and Dameon Pierce had a lot of success. He's been bad. The Texans are getting some names back on the offense and defense today, on Sunday that they did not have last week. Laremy Tunsil, all-pro left tackle, will be back, and that will be a big part to help with this offensive line from the left side for C.J. Stroud. And then a big name, another one that's going to come back for this defense is Jimmy Ward. He's a big voice in the locker room and on the field at that safety position. I think he's going to make this Texans defense better than it was last week. I think the Texans have really missed 2 players at that safety position, Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward, in the first 2 games because their defense has not been that great. Week 1, their defense was solid. They came up with a couple turnovers, almost 3, and week 3 now they're going to get one of those defenders back that you could tell they were missing 2 safeties in Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. Those guys are the heart and souls of their defense. Jalen Petrie's not going to be back. He is still questionable, but Jimmy Ward will be back on the defense, although the Texans are losing a notable name in Derek Stingley Jr. So I think this defense will be better. DeMeco Ryans is a good head coach. Look what he did in San Francisco as the defensive coordinator. And after a terrible defensive performance, I think he's going to have these guys doing better. I think we're going to see even a better performance by C.J. Stroud. I think he's out of all rookie quarterbacks right now. I know Anthony Richardson's been great in the first 2 games. And the 2 other guys, Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, they're both having health problems. Well, actually, all of them are. All of them are questionable for week 3 against. But C.J. Stroud, it's been said he will play. He's just taking it slow in practice. Although with Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, it's looking like neither one of them are going to play in week 3, dealing with. I think Anthony Richardson's dealing with a concussion. Bryce Young is dealing with an ankle injury. But C.J. Stroud has looked like the best rookie quarterback so far. And I have the Houston Texans upsetting the Jaguars in Jacksonville 26-24. Then the Patriots and the Jets. I have the Patriots beating the Jets 24-17. Mac Jones and the Patriots have looked great in the first 2 games. The only reason they are 0-2 is because they played 2 really good teams in the Philadelphia Eagles and the Miami Dolphins. And they've been close in both games. Then the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns' first game since Nick Chubb's injury, and I don't see the Browns winning this game. I have Tennessee winning 27-19. Then Ravens and the Colts. No Anthony Richardson. Gardner Minshew did good against Houston last week, but I think the Houston's defense was not prepared for Gardner Minshew, and they had a lot of success on the short throw. I think Lamar Jackson with this new Ravens offense, the new system with the new offensive coordinator, the new weapons in Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman back, Mark Andrews' second game back. Supposed to have J.K. Dobbins in there, but he tore his Achilles. I think this Ravens offense is going to have their best showing so far this season. Their offense looked okay last week, pretty good with 27 points, but I have them scoring way more points. I have them winning this game 38-23 against the Colts. Then this game right here, the Lions and the Falcons, reminds me a lot like a 2018 matchup that we saw, or 2007, I think it was 2000. It was a 2018 matchup between the Lions and the Falcons, where the difference is that both teams in 2018 when they faced off were both 2-0. This was a matchup between Detroit and Atlanta in 2018. This was a week 3 matchup, just like it is this year. And both teams were 2-0. The Falcons were 2-0, and the Lions were 2-0. Only difference now is that the Falcons are 2-0 and the Lions are 1-1. But I have this being a really close game between Atlanta and Detroit. I actually have it being a little bit of a similar score than it was when these two faced off in Week 3 in 2018. When they faced off in Week 3 in 2018, the Falcons won 30-26, but I have Detroit switching it up. I have the Lions winning 29-27. Then the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have looked great in the first 2 weeks, and the Packers haven't looked too bad either. But the Green Bay at home in Lambeau, their home opener, I think there's a big advantage right there for the Packers. I think they win this one by 3, and the Packers win 26-23. Then in a shootout between two 0-2 teams that have really good offenses, the Vikings and the Chargers. This is going to be a great game to watch. A lot on the line for both these two teams, and this could be the game that could be the end of Brandon Staley as the head coach for the Chargers, because I have the Vikings winning 35-31. Wouldn't be the first coach that the Vikings got fired in week 4 of 2020. The Vikings beat the Houston Texans, and Bill O'Brien got fired. So this would be the second head coach in 3 years that the Vikings would get fired. But I have the Vikings winning 35-31 against the Chargers. Then the Seahawks and the Panthers without Bryce Young, most likely. Bryce Young is not been ruled officially out, but it is looking like Andy Dalton will be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. This game is at 3:05, and I have the Seahawks winning pretty bigly. I have the Seahawks winning 36-19. Then the Cowboys, the Cardinals. Warning right here, do not watch this game. This is going to be a terrible game because the Cowboys are going to beat their asses. I mean, the first couple games with Arizona, you've seen them hang tight with a couple NFC East teams and the Giants and the Giants and the Commanders. They've only in their 2 games they've only lost by a combined 7 points, losing to Washington by 4 and losing to the Giants by 3. But this is a different kind of NFC East team. I think the Cowboys, are on a different type of level than the Giants and the Commanders. I think the Cowboys, win this game 43-16. Then the Chiefs and the Bears. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. I still have the Chiefs winning by plus 10 points, but I know a lot of people that think this game will be a little bit of a complete blowout. And I think the Bears offense will show some better things, but due to their matchup being the Kansas City Chiefs, I think it will be hard. But I think Justin Fields will have a good game, a better game than he's had in the first 2. I think you combine the first 2 games by Justin Fields, I think this will, you combine week 1 and week 2, week 3 will be a better performance than week 1 and week 2 combined. I have the Chiefs winning this ball game 39-27. Then Sunday Night Football. I know a lot of people are taking the Steelers, but Matt Canada is one of the worst offensive play callers I've ever seen. And the Steelers' offense is terrible, but I think their defense keeps them close. And the Raiders being at home, the Raiders I think they're very underrated. And I know they got their butts kicked last week, but that was against a Buffalo Bills team. I think the Raiders win Sunday Night Football 27-20. Then you got Monday Night Football doubleheader. I have the Eagles beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime, 22-16. This will be the test for the Buccaneers in week 3. They started off 2-0, but those are against 2 bad defenses in the Vikings and the Bears. Their offense hasn't really been tested, and now they're going to face one of the best defenses in the league, top 3 defense in the NFL. And now this is the test for them. This is a test for their defense, and it's a test for their offense, and they're at home. I think this could be a game the Bucs could steal, but I think the Eagles win it by 6 in overtime, 22-16. Then the Rams and the Bengals, a Super Bowl rematch. I have a couple different scores here. If Joe Burrow does not play, I have the Rams winning 31-10. If Joe Burrow does play, I have the Bengals winning 27-23. So I am thinking with some of the reports we've seen today, I'm thinking Joe Burrow will be good to go. But if he's not, I have the Rams winning by 21. You guys let me know your thoughts on my predictions. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.